Good afternoon, all, and welcome to this week's Small Business Town Hall. I'm glad to be here with you. My name is Sabina Matos. I'm the Lieutenant Governor for the state of Rhode Island, and I'm glad that you're joining us here today so we can talk about small business and see how things are going. First of all, I would like to take this opportunity to thank Chris Parisi, David Dakins, and Jennifer Barrios Ortiz for leading last week's small business discussion together with the Secretary of Commerce, Stefan Pryor. Thank you so much for doing that. Last Friday, the governor removed most of the restrictions related to the COVID-19 across all sectors. And I hope that that change has helped to create a positive impact on all your small businesses. I want to hear from all of you, and also the panel that's going to be here today also wants to hear from all the small business community to see how things are going. Please let us know any feedback that you have for us with the experience so far after lifting the restrictions. It's an important reminder that we continue getting as many shots in arms as possible. So if you have a small business or a business location in which we can bring one of the mobile units to do vaccination, please contact my office, contact us, and let us know how we can make that possible. We want to make sure everyone is vaccinated. We can vaccinate a lot of more people if you reach out to us. I also want to remind the business owners that are watching today that part of the strategies is to go where people are. So again, if you have someone that needs to be vaccinated in your location, if you have a group of individuals, let us know so we can go there. And also we understand that not everyone is available to go to the different locations. So again, I cannot say this enough. Let us know where we can bring the vaccination and we will do that. Finally, we are approaching the unofficial beginning of the summer season and encourage everyone to be patient with one another. Remember, if you're fully vaccinated, you're free to take off your mask. But if you want to keep your mask on, we understand. So let's all be kind and be courteous to one another and understand that there are individuals that may want to wear their mask even though the restriction has been lifted. And let's just be kind. If you feel like you want to continue to wear the mask, that's okay, right? Well, so with that, we're going to move on to the discussion. I know we're waiting for Mark Hayward, who is the Director of the Small Business Administration for Rhode Island, the Rhode Island District Office. He's going to give us a lot of information about what's happening from the federal government and the Small Business Administration. Secretary Pryor is going to be with us also. Oh, Mark is with us already. Then we're going to have Director Tanner from the Department of Business Regulation, Director Matt Weldon from the Department of Labor and Training, and then we're going to close with Chris Parisi, who's the founder of the Small Business Coalition, and is going to give us an update on how things are going. So with that, Mark is here. For a moment, I was getting a little worried, Mark.
No, Governor, by the way, I just want to say that a couple of people have told me I look better with a mask on than I do a mask off. I don't know where to go with that. Maybe
those are your friends, right?
That's true. Actually, I was just on a call, and there's a number of things that we've been talking about with Washington, and we've been getting updates. The one thing I do want to tell you, Governor, is that 301 restaurants have been approved for the Restaurant Revitalization Fund.
Yes.
I can't give the specific restaurant names. There are a boatload that's in process right now. No, we have not expended the $28.6 billion. Of that, $63.5 million so far. I'd like to see it a little bit more. But the one thing that I can tell you, Governor, is that just looking at the list, there's a lot of small restaurants, restaurants in the communities that communities of color, veterans that are getting amounts, and it's based on their calculations. So, Governor, I'm really happy to see that amount. I want to see those continue. We've been pulling down the information because I know how to do that. And I've been here for a long time. On the other side of that, the other report that I wanted to give is, I know because we've gotten so many calls this week and last week about idle advance, that originally you had gone in for the $10,000 and then you got the uptick. And yes, there's an opportunity to get an additional 5. And on yesterday's call with Washington, we were told that they realized that there were some glitches. We tell people all the time, Governor, check your spam files, because a lot of times the emails that the Office of Disaster Assistance is sending out ends up in the spam side of it. And what happens is people just delete it. And when they delete it, then it causes issues about getting back in. So in our discussion with the Office of Disaster Assistance yesterday, and Alex Contreras said to us that they are having some glitches with the system and trying to get new emails out to the people. And there are a lot of people who will be eligible and invited back to the portal. He said that on June 3rd, all of the people who had a problem with accessing the idle advance side of it will be invited back into the portal. So we just asked for a little bit of patience. That's next week. On people who are looking for economic injury disaster loan increases, those invitations continue to go out. But Governor, like the same thing with the idle advance. A lot of times it goes into individual spam folders, and we just, if I'm going to ask anybody anything, look at your spam folder, because you are being invited back in to ask for increases to the original loan that you got. I did have a number of conversations with people who they originally received, one person was $72,000. They got an extra $270,000, which is really good. Again, this is economics of putting more money into the community. The navigators, and I know a lot of people are interested about the navigators in the grant process. We were told yesterday that the solicitation for those who want to become navigators will be coming out in the next couple of days. I've talked to Marianne Matthews, and I know you know Marianne well. I know she's very interested in a number of other the chambers, the SBDC, the CPAs. I know there's a number of people who are interested in that. And I just say, when it comes out, trust me, this office will be pushing that out to the best of our ability. I continue to, from our last discussion that you and I had about our youth here in Rhode Island looking for employment, I'm very proud that my niece got a job. She's less than 18, so she's still in high school, so she can't serve alcohol, but she's a hostess. There are plenty of jobs in the hospitality industry. I had a discussion with Dale Venturini about that. And, anytime we can encourage our youth and college students that are returning or here, listen, there are opportunities out there. I got 2 superintendents of schools that called me by virtue of our discussion last week. And I've been trying to reach back to them. It's kind of a hit and miss. But I am going to get back to them, Governor. And I think it's really important for all of us to stay on the same page and say, there are jobs available. If you're looking to work, I would just suggest that you contact the signs all over the place, or call the Rhode Island Hospitality Association. They certainly know which ones. So that's my federal update, Governor. And I hope that's a good one that you think.
Thank you. It was really good. And I have a question for you. It's going to be mostly, I will say, the homework. Because I just had a meeting today about this. Are there any assistance for restaurants that wants to be ADA compatible, that wants to meet the ADA requirements for accessibility, especially now coming out of the pandemic, in which we are more aware of inequities? So any programs available on the federal level?
If they do get money from the restaurant revitalization program, they can certainly become compliant under that program. But there are no grants, Governor. But the other thing that I want, thank you for raising that, because the one thing that we were told on the conference call with Washington yesterday was that there is plenty of money if a small business gets a regular 7A loan. For the agency to pay for the first 3 months of that particular loan. So if you get a loan for $100,000, the first 3 months of that loan is going to be paid by the agency. There's no fees to the borrower, no fees to the lender. So if you had requirements where you needed to become ADA compliant and you didn't get the restaurant revitalization fund and you need additional cash, go to your lender or call us. As you can see, Ben has put the email address up there.
Yes.
Send us an email. Trust me, when I asked the question of the assistant administrator for capital access, I said, are we in danger of running out of additional funds for that? And they said, absolutely not. There's plenty of money to last right through the end of the fiscal year to pay for those 3 months for anybody who gets a 7A or a 504 loan. So that's really important.
It's good to know. Thank you, Mark. Thank you. You always have good information. Thank you. We really appreciate that.
Always great to see you, Governor.
My pleasure. So now, Ben, do we have any questions, Ben? Just checking before we switch.
I always get afraid when
right. No, I guess no. So then we're gonna go next.
No questions for Mark right now.
All right. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Mark. We're gonna switch now to Commerce Secretary Stefan Pryor. Secretary, tell us what is new. What's going on with the Commerce Department?
Hi, Lieutenant Governor. Great to be back with you. Appreciate all the collaboration throughout the week. Really exciting to see so much momentum. Obviously, the need out there is still very, very great.
Yes.
But I do have good news as to the economic indicators on a couple of different fronts. So periodically, I report to you on how the rating agency Moody's is ranking Rhode Island within the country. And we have some very good news on that front. Moody's has most recently ranked Rhode Island number 6 in the entire country for its getting back to normal, the pace at which it is getting back to where it was economically pre-COVID, number 6 in the whole country, and number 1 in the Northeast for its pace of recovery. We're pleased to see that.
Yes.
No claims that is the total picture, the victory. We're done with our work. Nothing more to be done. Of course not. But Connecticut, it should be noted, we're number 6 in the country. Connecticut is number 19. In case you're wondering, Massachusetts is 44. New York is 46. The U.S. percentage back on the back to normal index by Moody's is 90%. We're at 96%. Now, of course, there are industries that are disproportionately impacted. For example, hospitality and tourism. And they're still, they've been hit so hard, they're still really struggling. So there's a lot of work to do. So no one is claiming otherwise, but we're so pleased that Rhode Island, instead of being a laggard in our region, is a leader in our region. We're helping to lead the way out of the COVID recession. And we're going to keep at it under Governor McKee and Lieutenant Governor Matos.
That is a great news.
Yes, ma'am. The other piece of news that I bring you is hot off the presses on unemployment rate data. So in April of 2021, according to the freshly released data, Rhode Island's unemployment rate reached 6.3%. That is nearly in line with the national rate of 6.1% for April. And between March and April, Rhode Island's unemployment rate fell from 7% to 6.3%, obviously a decline of 0.7%. That is the largest unemployment rate decline in the entire country.
Wow.
In that month, we saw the biggest drop in unemployment in the United States. So we're very pleased to see that. And I should note, we never say this with glee that our neighbors have worse conditions, but it is a reference point. Connecticut's at 8.1%, while we're at 6.3%. Massachusetts is at 6.5%, while we're at 6.3%. So on multiple indicators, including the compilation of indicators that Moody's follows, we're doing well in comparison to our neighbors and in comparison to the country. We need to keep it up. We need to keep investing in our small businesses, providing assistance to our small businesses, investing in the sectors that were hit the hardest, and by no means just resting on our laurels and determining that we're done with our work. So with that in mind, I want to offer an update as my last update for today on the governor's Small Business Relief Grant Program.
Yes.
The program that Governor McKee set up, Lieutenant Governor, in order to provide $5,000 checks to our businesses. We are really getting momentum on the sending of checks now. We're so pleased that small businesses have done their applications, have answered any follow-up questions, have signed their docu-signs, meaning that they've signed their agreements to get their checks. We've gone through our fraud checks and our proof that these are not fraudulent. Okay, all this to say, we have roughly 3,500 applications that have been approved for payment. That means they're headed to, most frequently, a DocuSign email that goes to the small business, and when they sign it, the check gets going. That's, by the way, 3,500 applications is worth $17.5 million. And ready for this? Over 2,200 checks have gone out or in the process of going out, meaning they're in line to be issued in the batches that go out from the state, from the Division of Revenue, with thanks to our friends at Revenue and Taxation. That 2,200 set of checks is worth $11 million, either already out or on the way to go out the door. So please, if you're a small business who's applied, look for your paper check. We're doing it through the mail. That's another way to prevent fraud. You're delivering to the actual business where they do business, where it adds some additional protection. And what I want to say is that if you are a business that applied and you are waiting for the DocuSign, meaning you're waiting to sign the agreement, you're wondering what's going on, there's some information for you on the Commerce RI website. CommerceRI.com/relief grant. CommerceRI.com/relief grant. Go on there, and I rechecked it this morning just to make sure I could describe it well. If you're wondering, well, where is my email that is sending me the information on how to sign my DocuSign? I'm trying to figure this out. Go into the information on the relief grant, scroll down to the bullet that says, if you are approved for a grant award, you will receive 2 emails from DocuSign. In that bullet, when you scroll down, find that bullet that speaks of DocuSign.
Yep.
We actually have a DocuSign FAQ in red or orangish red that when you pull it up, even shows you what the email looks like. So you can check your junk mail, check your email box, or when you're navigating that email, we want to get you through to signature and get your check out the door to you. So that's commerceri.com/relief grant, and you can find the information I just described. We're thrilled, though, that there are 2,200 checks that are going out the door, and we're so grateful to the small businesses who've informed this process, including Chris Parisi and the Small Business Coalition. And we're so grateful to the small businesses that have gotten through the process. Easier this time, but still it takes some doing. And we're getting checks out, Lieutenant Governor.
Thank you, Secretary. So those are great news. I just saw a message from Jennifer Barrios Ortiz who says she got her check today, so we can celebrate.
Wonderful! I'm so glad.
Good.
Congratulations, Jennifer. And thanks for all your help, Jennifer. And thanks for making me look a slight bit better, by the way. Check out Executive Cuts. She's amazing.
She is amazing. We're so glad to have her. Ben, you have any other questions? Are you muted, Ben?
I never do that, and I switched computers.
Even the pros do it.
I switched computers during the stream. I have to get a new MacBook this week. And it threw me off. Joel has a question. If I made a mistake in my application now, have I lost the chance for a grant?
No, you have not lost the chance for a grant. So, Ben, if you can capture Joe's information, send it to me, send it to Brian Hodge. But the main thing, so we'll follow up with you, Joe, directly. And it does not necessarily mean that you lost the chance. We might be able to resuscitate your application. The other thing that anyone can do, Joe, you can do it, but you don't need to. Anyone can do this. It's called 521-HELP, 401. 521-HELP. We have Commerce staff who are totally dedicated to helping applications that are valid, that are eligible, get their grants. Sometimes people just didn't understand a question because they're moving fast. People, we ask you, for example, were you affected by COVID-19? you have to answer yes. Some people answered no. They probably misunderstood the question. People are moving fast. If that's the simple change, we go in, we help you do it, you certify that's your answer, boom, we get you the check. So Ben, please tell Joe, we'll be in touch.
All right, awesome. Yeah, and everybody that has a question like that, or the email scrolling across the bottom, billy.kepner at lieutenant at LTGOV. It's on the screen. Send your info into Billy in the lieutenant governor's office, and he will put you in touch with Commerce, or whatever your specific question is. So thanks.
Thank you, Ben.
All right, thank you, Ben. So thank you, Secretary Pryor. With that, we're gonna switch over to Director Tanner from Department of Business Regulations. So Director Tanner.
Hi, Lieutenant Governor. How are you today?
Good to see you in your new location today.
My location made it back to the office. Yes, slowly but surely.
Yes, we're getting back to normal, slowly but surely. Yes.
Which is exactly what I came to talk about today.
Tell me all about it.
So we've reached a point where, at this point, I'm saying which businesses still have some restrictions on them. So that's kind of where we're at these days. So, as you know, so many of the restrictions were lifted last week. Life is getting back to normal. However, there were still some very high transmission rates in certain kinds of activities. And so there are still restrictions in certain places. So I was hoping to kind of, rather than saying what the restrictions are, I'm just going to let you know which business types or which certain things do still have a concern. And this is all that's left, right? So first and foremost, we have certain rules for nightclubs who have been closed this entire time and just started opening up this past weekend. So wanted to break them in slow to kind of get them used to what the rest of us have been all doing for the last year. And I won't go through all the details, but if anybody has any questions, they should always feel free to reach out to us. I'm also going to be providing some information that I had sent to Ben yesterday. But nightclubs, we also have hookah bars, right? So hookah bars, you have smoke transmitted. Outdoor hookah, fine. Indoor hookah, not so good. So we have some rules for hookah bars. We also have some restrictions for vocal performances, right? So that has absolutely been found to be a high area of transmission is vocal performances. And so there's some rules there. I know there's a lot of questions about them. And so, the rules are here on these best practices document that Ben's got up on screen. There's also some rules around youth sports and summer camps for youth. As you can imagine, with our youth still being susceptible to the virus, we're trying to do special things and take care of them in a higher way than we would for those who have been vaccinated. And there's also the CDC guidelines as far as masking, right? And so I would say the number one question that we're getting over at DBR right now is, well, can I still require a mask in my business? And Lieutenant Governor, you said that in the beginning. The answer is yes, right? So if you think about the very common phrase of no shoes, no shirt, no service, it could be no shoes, no shirt, no mask, no service, right? I mean, so the business gets to make their own decision, right? Like you are a private business owner. So just letting business owners know that, they do have that flexibility. There's also some requirements for posters for screening, right? Because we still don't want sick people out at facilities, right? And so, Ben, if you want to pull up the poster, we can give you a link to the poster, so you can have that information. And then for gyms, we're still asking the gyms allow time in between group classes to do cleanings and to let the air sort of circulate. Here's our poster. Isn't this adorable? So fully vaccinated, no need to wear a mask. Not vaccinated, mask still required. So it's something as simple as that. Another question that we're getting a lot of is contact tracing still required? Do we still need to have, a lot of the things that were in the inspections? And the answers are no, right? So, those are really the only things that are businesses are being held to. There's a best practices document if you want to look at how you can better protect your customers, your employees. We are very much encouraging folks to keep up with the cleanliness standards, right? Because we all want things to be cleaner, period, right? So whether it's access to a washroom or hand sanitizer or just wiping down frequently touched surfaces, that's hopefully the way that it should be from now on. Wanted to talk real quick, our inspectors, right? So while our inspectors are still out and about, what we have them doing now is outreach, right? And so they're doing outreach and they are sharing information on the programs that both Director Hayward and Secretary Pryor were discussing. And we're also having them do a survey to ask questions. What problems are they having? Do they have any questions that aren't being answered? How has the customer service been? What kind of roadblocks are they reaching? So we're also doing a service surveys to them. And then we're also calling those businesses that are still affected, whether they be nightclubs or hookah bars or things like that. So that's kind of how things are for now. Fingers crossed that everything gets lifted in the near future, and then we're 100% back to normal. But we're slowly breaking in these areas where we are concerned about, and we have the best practices list that Ben had showed you, and then also those posters, so that if people want access to those, they can. If you have any questions, please contact the DBR hotline, which is up there on the screen. Thank you, Ben. That's 889-5550 or dbr.ri.gov. We have an online form that you can fill out, and somebody will get back to you within short order. So that's all I've got for this week, and hopefully I have less and less to share, and we can get back to the good business of just taking care of small businesses in a non-COVID world. So, Ben, did I get any questions while I was?
There were some questions, right, Ben?
There sure were, Liz. First, I want to say that there were some questions about nursing homes earlier that you had a great thing in the chat. Do you want to just share that?
Yeah, I mean, from what I could see from that question, it does seem to me like that's a business decision, right? So again, the business, they're making their own decisions for what they think is best under their circumstances. So there's really not, if the nursing home was interested in connecting with the state, whether it be on a job training program or special needs that they have, that's what I would recommend. But otherwise, we would defer to the business owner to make their own decision.
Okay, awesome. And then we have a bunch of questions about kids wearing masks, playing sports, and doing outdoor performances. We both have it from a sports perspective, and I know that Hugo owns, I believe, a dance studio. So both of those situations, what are the rules going forward for children and masks?
So Ben, I would refer back to that best practices guidance, right? Like it has the specifics in there because they're not super clear cut. And if those best practices do not answer your questions, then I would encourage you to reach out to us. I would actually even then connect you with someone from the Department of Health who can answer your specific scenario, right? What I've found is sometimes when I give an answer on here, it might sound too generic. And instead I have to talk about what it is your situation is. So I would ask them to reach out to us and we'll get them the right answer for their scenario that way. Because sports and dance and there's lots of different factors, indoor, outdoor, there's always lots more to the question than there appears to be. So thank you so much. I appreciate the time and effort. And again, like I said, I'm hoping that we can reduce the amount of things that we're talking about and get back to helping our businesses grow and be better as they can be. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Director. A few things that I took away is that no shoes, no shirt, no mask, no service. So the business can make the decision, right? They can make their own rules on how they want to follow that. And finally, I hope there's some stuff that we're going to continue to use good practices after COVID. So having hand sanitizer everywhere, washing our hands, don't forget about that. Those are things that helps a lot to keep everybody safe, not just from COVID, but safe from the flu or any other virus. So with that, we're going to move to Director Matt Weldon from the Department of Labor and Training. Matt, what's going on? What's new? Tell us.
Hi, Governor. Good to be back. Always enjoy being here. So lots going on. I've been talking about it a lot. The couple of things that I think we should focus on today are first, the economy has reopened. And so we are now requiring people once again to be looking for work to collect unemployment. That is how the unemployment program has always worked from the very beginning of the program, decades ago to now. If somebody's on unemployment, they should be looking for their next job. So for regular unemployment, even if you filed because your business, the place you work was impacted by COVID, you should be looking for work. That means 3 jobs a week you should be applying for, and I think you should apply for more. There are a lot of jobs available out there, everyone. Please go ahead, use our website, go to backtoworkri.com or dlt.ri.gov. You can find information, maybe work on your resume, connect with a job coach, use the virtual career center, use all the tools that we have and get yourself connected to a good paying job soon. And the reason for that is the federal benefits are scheduled to end on September 4th in Rhode Island. And when that happens, there is no transition off. So if you are collecting on an extension right now because you used all 26 weeks and now you're on a federal extension, that extension would end, which means there'll be no payments after that date. So we want to get you connected to a good paying job right now, so we're not up against the clock in September. The other thing is businesses need people to take jobs so they can continue to operate in our economy. Right now, we're approaching the summer season. We're just about there. The hospitality industry is a big part of our economy here in Rhode Island. We need to make sure those jobs are filled. Go ahead and take one of those jobs. Get a new experience. It's a challenge from me to everyone. Let's get back into the economy quickly. I think it'll be better for everybody and their family. It'll be better for Rhode Island's employers and better for our economy as a whole. For people that are on pandemic unemployment, if you were a gig worker, re-engage. It's time to pick up that platform again, or look for a regular job on backtoworkri.com. There's a lot of opportunities out there. If you own your own business, that's the one difference. We're not asking you to leave your business. We're asking you to continue working in your business, but to conduct 3 business development activities every week. That could be trying to, expand your customer base or continuing education that would help you grow your business. You can use our website to look for other opportunities or to look for talent if you're hiring. Just please, three activities a week will keep you eligible for that pandemic unemployment program. But again, that program's scheduled to expire on September 4th.
Yeah.
The other big thing that we did was an incentive to try to get people to know that it's okay to go back to work and that you won't lose the benefits if you're not making basically full-time wages or just under that. And so last week, the governor signed a new bill that passed that allows people to earn up to 1.5 times their benefit rate before they're cut off from unemployment. It's a big deal. It's going to help people by allowing them to earn more money. It'll also allow them to keep more of what they earn. Right now, the law, until last week, only allowed you to keep 20% of your benefit rate. And after that, dollar for dollar, your claim was reduced when you worked. Now the law is going to allow you to keep 50% of your benefit rate, half of your benefit rate, before we touch your claim. All good things. Keep you connected to that federal money. The governor has said a number of times that he wants to increase Rhode Island working families' income. One way to do it is by using that federal government's $300 and putting it to work for us in our economy. So go back to work, earn more money, keep more of what you earn, stay connected to unemployment, and fill those jobs. That's all I got today, Governor.
Thank you, Director Weldon. So I have to say thank you for your being so creative to find a solution to this problem that we were facing, because we were getting a lot of businesses saying, I cannot find employees. We cannot find enough individuals so we can continue to reopen our economy. So thank you on your team for the work that you did. And I want to thank also the General Assembly, the President of the Senate and the Speaker for the sponsors for moving this legislation forward. So thank you for all your hard work.
Oh, absolutely. We're here to serve, and I'm glad it worked out as well. It was a good partnership between the administration, between your office, the House, the Senate, and everyone. And I think it's going to really prove beneficial for Rhode Islanders.
Yeah. And it was great that we went to Cumberland to sign that bill, right?
That's right.
We went straight to Governor McKee's hometown. And we signed the bill there. So thank you so much. With that, we're going to turn the conversation over to Chris Parisi. Chris, tell us how things are going.
Lieutenant Governor, how are you doing today? It's
really good.
It was a great weekend, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
So that's one thing that we're hearing is there's positivity in Rhode Island. We're on the up and up, and that was it was all possible because of Rhode Island's great efforts to vaccinate, right? 70+% at least got one vaccination shot, which is only a handful of states in the whole country that reach that metric. So, we're really proud of the governor's, yours, and the whole administration's effort with the Department of Health to get Rhode Islanders to vaccinate so we can open up the economy, which we did this past Friday. Yeah. And I was hearing from a lot of positivity from our small businesses when we met on Monday. We meet every Monday, and things are really picking up. But we do want to caution it that there are still small businesses struggling. There's no magic wand that just changed everything overnight. And there's still some industries that certainly need some extra support because even though the economy opened up, for instance, the travel industry we spoke about, that's not quite helping them. They're still, quite down. So we're going to be looking for creative ways to ensure that we're supporting helping those industries still really hard hit while continuing to support all small businesses here in Rhode Island. So we just talked about with Director Weldon, who, as a programming note, next Tuesday at 12 p.m., Director Weldon will be on the Small Business Coalition's live forum. So he had a lot to say because there's a lot going on with DLT. So fortunately, what we're going to do is have just our one featured guest. It will be Director Weldon, so everyone can ask even more questions about the new unemployment bill, which is a great step in the right direction. Like you mentioned, it's a creative solution. It may not be perfect, but out of all the solutions out there, this was one that helped Rhode Islander workers, the employees, as well as the employers in the state. So a potential win-win-win for all parties. So we're eager to see if that helps continue drop the unemployment rate so we can get back to work safely and help all, keep the economy running. So with that being said, I'll, mention to everyone to continue to join the coalition. We are continuing to grow our member base. Go to rismallbusiness.org, as Ben put up on the screen there. And that way we can continue to advocate for you and listen to you and ensure that your voice is being heard.
Yeah. Thank you, Chris. I just want to check with Ben. Ben, is there a question for Chris?
There is a question for Chris, which never happens.
All right.
In a year, it's never happened on the show. When is the online meeting?
So for the online meeting, we have it every other Monday at 5 p.m. So the next one will be this upcoming Monday, the 31st, which, as I look, is a holiday.
It's a holiday.
Last holiday we still did that. But if you would like more information, you can email us at info@rismallbusiness.org or send us a message on our Facebook page at RI Small Business. Wow, Ben, you are unbelievable. You're quick with it. And we'll get you the link so that you can join and share your concerns, ideas, and suggestions of how we can make Rhode Island a more small business friendly state.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you,
Chris.
Lieutenant Governor. Appreciate all you do for small businesses and continuing this program. It's very needed and we appreciate it.
Thank you for what you're doing, and thank you for making sure that the conversation continues on the off weeks. As a reminder, on the weeks in which I have the joint press conference with Governor McKee, Chris Parisi is making sure that we continue the conversation here. He just told us that for the next week, he's going to have Director Weldon to answer all your questions related to the DLT. So get your questions ready. My team is always part of the conversation also. They're going to be here. So with that, I just want to thank all of you for joining us today, and I hope that this information, it helps your small business. We're here and we're looking forward to seeing you again. The next time that I'm going to be hosting the conversation is going to be on Tuesday, June 8th at noon. If you haven't yet been vaccinated, please remember this, as Chris was telling us right now, we are over 70% of Rhode Islanders have gotten at least one shot. We have to make sure that we get as many people vaccinated as possible. Make sure to check for an appointment at vaccinateri.org. Or remember, you can just walk into any of the locations right now and you can get your vaccine right there. And tomorrow, at several Dunkin' Donuts across the state, you're going to have, in honor of the iced coffee day, you're going to be able to get vaccinated also and get an iced coffee. If you're like me, I run on coffee, so this is a great thing. Make sure you go get your vaccine. Make sure you help to get your family, your community safe, and to reopen the Rhode Island economy fully. With that, Ben, thank you all, and see you on June 8th.